But oh boy, do I have a treat for you today. If you guys love pointless sequels that don't really go anywhere and are just painful to watch, then oh, are you going to enjoy this one? So Jurassic Park 3 is a movie that was released in 2001 starring Sam Neill, William H. Macy, Tia Leone and directed by Joe Johnston. It's the first movie in a Jurassic Park series that isn't based off a novel and is the second sequel to the original Jurassic Park, and boy does it show that it's run out of ideas. This film is a complete mess and I'm just not being harsh for for no reason. This is terrible. So at the very beginning, we are introduced to a man and seemingly his son parasailing off the coast of an island that looks like the island from Jurassic Park The Lost World is a sauna. Everything seems fine at the time and they seem to be having a lot of fun videotaping their adventures whilst they're up in the parachute with the boat down below. And unfortunately, everything takes a bit of a sinister turn. Conveniently enough, whilst the boat is passing through a random sort of patch of fog that comes out of nowhere. When the boat comes out of the other side, the guys in the parachute look down and they see nothing but blood and claw marks and a dead crew, or a missing crew. Straight away they get worried because the boat is heading towards a load of rocks in the water. So they take the brave and stupid decision to unhook themselves from the rope so they can go and fly off uncontrollably into the middle of the island where no one will ever be able to see them or find them, likely. Whilst the boat hits the rocks and just grinds up against them and ends up getting beached on top of the rocks. Now, don't get me wrong, but I'm pretty sure that if you had just stayed attached to the boat, what would have happened would be you just slowly float down onto the boat, and then any passing sort of boat or trawler, anything, would have likely spotted you and then been able to rescue you quite quickly. That's just me. But what we get from that stupid decision is essentially the plot of this movie, and that just perfectly sums up this film as a whole, in that it exists purely because of a ridiculous decision that makes absolutely no sense at the beginning. And quite clearly, that was the flow of the pitch for this film even being created in the first place. It was, we need to make money, let's cash in on the Jurassic Park franchise. Has anyone got a good idea? No? Well, that'll do anyway. Well, we then get reintroduced to Alan Grant, who has seemingly not really moved on, not really progressed in his character. He instead is having a little bit of one-to-one time with Dr. Ellie Sattler's kids after she has moved on from their relationship and got married to somebody else and had children of her own. She seems to have gone on and progressed in her life. Dr. Alan Grant, however, is just stagnating in what he's always done, and that is his research into dinosaurs. And the confusing part about this, and where I say that this film is a mess, is because I have no idea really what to do with Dr. Grant other than bringing him back for nostalgia bait. Initially, we see that he's focused on researching velociraptors to further understand them. He's working on the theory that they were able to communicate with each other based on the structure of their skull and the fact they could make voice patterns almost that mirror speech patterns in humans. And that's how they were able to coordinate their attacks and things like that. And it does sort of seem as if it's a case where he hasn't really been affected by his time on the island on Jurassic Park by the incidents that took place. Until later on when we get introduced to the idea that he's written two books, one before and one after his time on the island. And it's mentioned that in the second book, he doesn't like dinosaurs anymore, which completely contradicts what it is he's doing, because he's still stuck in the whole world of paleontology and having that as his passion in life, really. And it just doesn't really make any sense, much like the rest of this film. As we sort of go further on, we're introduced to Billy, who's Alan Grant's right-hand man, who's essentially replaced Ellie Sattler. And it's really distracting when you watch this film, because when I first sat there and watched, the first reaction I had was, is that Pollux Troy? And yes, it is Pollux Troy from Face Off. If you haven't seen that film, go and watch it. Come back and watch this one, because I guarantee it makes Jurassic Park 3 that much more fun, because all you can hear is this guy delivering his lines in Pollux Troy's voice. That is the best it gets. Now, Dr. Alan Grant is then approached by a chap played by William H. Macy, who's called Mr. Kirby. He brings his wife along for another meeting with Dr. Alan Grant and Billy to recruit them into essentially doing a flyby of the island and being their guide to sort of point out what dinosaurs they're seeing, what's going on down below, and yeah, essentially doing that. These guys are shown to be quite rich, successful entrepreneurs that are quite daring in the things they like to do together, and this is the latest venture they want to go on. And the key thing is that Dr. Grant does not want to go back to the island, a bit like Dr. Malcolm in the previous one. And you understand why Dr. Malcolm went back to the island in the last one, because he had to go and rescue his partner, his girlfriend. But this one, the motivation behind him going back is not the fact that the plane won't land, not the fact that they won't get in close to any dinosaurs, but the fact of this guy offering him money to basically fund his dig for however long he wanted. And I get why they did it. I get why they've sort of put that whole thing on the table, because it mirrors back to John Hammond's offer in the first one, how he got onto Jurassic Park in the first place. But surely nothing will get you onto that island other than a sense of having to save somebody. To do it by money motivation, it contradicts the character that you've created in the first movie. Anyway, they get onto the island. It turns out that Kirby has lied about everything, not only about the fact of that they are going to land on the island, that they are going to wander into the jungle. He's also lied about how rich he is, and the fact that he isn't a successful entrepreneur. He runs a painting, decorating, and bathroom fitting company, which still is quite good. I'm not gonna lie, just he hasn't got the money to basically sort of support his offer to Dr. Grant and all the others that he's recruited along the way. And these two people are just highlighted as the biggest idiots going, to be fair. Not only have they lied about who they are, but they've also lied about their relationship. They're no longer together, and the whole point of them being on the island is to rescue their little boy, Eric, who was the young lad who was parasailing with, turns out, his mum's new boyfriend. But the reason why these guys are stupid is because they've recruited Dr. Grant to come onto the island with them, because he's been there and he can guide them through. They've just completely overlooked the fact that it was two different islands, and I thought initially it was a plot hole in it, but they do actually address it in the film, and the fact of this is the island, or Site B, basically, and Dr. Grant's never been on Site B. So that's fun. And then throughout it, we sort of encounter velociraptors' nests, where there's eggs that have been there to sort of show they've been breeding, and essentially they've fully taken over the island and gone against the original breeding protocol that was put in place on the first island. And there we're treated to some of the best acting you will see. I mean, how this didn't win an Oscar, I will never know. But the fact of once they move past the nest of velociraptors, past the eggs, they lose Billy for a good couple of minutes until he then catches up, holding his bag and clutching it as if he's protective of it. And the question is, well, what have you been doing? And his response is, oh, I was just taking pictures whilst looking as shifty as possible and shifting his eyes. Every single person in the world knows he's clearly taken some eggs out of that nest and he's hiding them in his bag. Everyone knows that, apart from the people in the film, because guess what? They need to have a random mystery in there to sort of wonder why they're being chased or why these animals are after them. But no, we're just treated to some absolutely horrendous soap opera acting and made to feel like idiots for thinking, oh, it's clearly just that simple. It is that simple. Trust your gut instinct with it. This film was just terrible. We then move on to a first sort of velociraptor encounter, velociraptor attack. Dr. Alan Grant, he's saved by Eric. They all then reunite together, and the whole point then is to try and get off the island. The only way they can do that is with Mr. Kirby's satellite phone, which is unfortunately in the belly of a beast. And the one thing this movie does do well is it nicely introduces a new threat, a new dinosaur, because we've had two movies now where the Tyrannosaurus Rex and Velociraptors have been the main threat of those movies. So we need something new, something fresh to keep us engaged. And boy, does this movie need to keep you engaged. Enter the Spinosaurus, the dinosaur that attacks the plane, just attacks them, and just seems to stalk them all the way throughout their time on the island. And the key, the key reason why you bring them up now is because when he first attacked the plane, or when it first attacked the plane, it swallowed the satellite phone they need to radio in for them to get off the island. So basically, the Spinosaurus is like the crocodile from Peter Pan. So you can hear it coming along because the satellite phone is always ringing for some random reason. I don't know who's calling them, but strangely enough, when they do actually retrieve the satellite phone from its poo, it doesn't ring. It doesn't ever rings when they got it. It only rings when it's in the belly of the Spinosaurus. So I don't know I don't know how that happens. I will give it this. There are two very good scenes in this film. I mean, I don't know how many scenes there are in this film, but the fact there's only two in it that are good is, oh god. The first one is when they're trying to escape sort of down. The whole idea is they're trying to get to the coast, trying to radio for help. Strangely enough, they're trying to get to the coast where the boats are, which harks back to my original point as to the fact, why does this movie even exist? Because the idea would have been when you're parachuting or parasailing, just float down to the boat and passing ships will be able to see you. Exactly what Dr. Grant says, and it just validates my point, and I feel good about that bit. But anyway, they're trying to get down to the coast. They end up sort of scaling a mountain through a set of stairs, and it's all foggy, it's all misty because you're almost in like a valley in between two, or in like a pit of a mountain. And you can't really see what the structure is they're walking on. You can't really see the area around them. It's all just sort of clouded around. And eventually it's revealed they're walking into a birdcage. And the tension in this scene is, it's just palpable. It harks back actually to the original Jurassic Park, where you just feel it slowly build bit by bit to the point where the group are separated and you feel something coming, and one part of the group thinks it's a member of the other side coming back to join the rest of them. In actual fact, neither side are moving. It's something else. And as it gets closer and rattles more and more, it just emerges out of the shadows, and you see it's a huge pterodactyl. And that whole sequence is fantastic because you've got the threat of the larger pterodactyl as well as the smaller ones that are then picking off the rest of them. So there's just a sense of absolutely no escape other than having to jump down into the water. And it results in Billy sacrificing himself after it's revealed that, yes, he did steal some eggs. Exactly what we thought had happened or what we knew had happened. But yeah, it's revealed about 15 minutes later that's what he actually had done. And it's shown that actually that's the reason why they're being chased by a pack of velociraptors. Anyway, he sacrifices himself. The rest of them manage to escape and they get onto a boat and sail down the lake. Or down the river, even. Because there's no lake on there. It's just a river that goes out towards the sea. And shortly after this, we get the second very good scene in that we get the attack at night by the Spinosaurus while they're on the boat in the water. And again, it mixes the idea of almost like the horror element of Jaws or Lake Placid, if you're thinking more low budget, with the idea of just the classic monster movies like Godzilla or the original Jurassic Park with the grand scale of it. You've got the attack from the water and then the mixture of the dinosaur in its full glory standing up and attacking him from up top. And the blend of that is just brilliant because there's no switching off from it. There's no release. There's no or relief. There's just it's got you gripped, and you just feel the tension once again, just building and building until there's just no getting out of it. During that time, Dr. Grant has tried to get hold of the satellite phone in order to call Ellie, and in doing that, he gets through to her son, who adds to the tension because he's trying to go and get his mum's attention to call for help. but she's busy talking to someone else. He gets distracted by none other than Barney, the purple dinosaur. Dinosaurs just, oh, they come in all different forms, and Barney's perhaps the worst one. But anyway, he manages to get through to Ellie. She sends help and gets them rescued, and they get off the island. And it's a standard helicopter shot. Dr. Grant looking down at the dinosaurs, harking back to the end of the first movie. And that does that quite nicely. But oh, oh my God, this is an awful film. And the worst bit about this film is it's 80 minutes long. And it's just the fact the film could be that short and that bad is just absolutely incredible. And they've just outdone themselves there, because I didn't think that was possible. It is just a mess. It undoes all of the character building formed in the first movie with Dr. Grant. You go from a guy who's dedicated his entire life to paleontology, to studying dinosaurs. The only thing he wants to do is understand how dinosaurs move, how they behave. You know, he's got multiple theories about different dinosaurs, and he just wants to see whether or not he's right. And he does that in the first part. He sees all of that there and he becomes validated, but he then realizes, whilst he's had respect for the dinosaurs in the first place, and he's tried to impart that respect and that wisdom down the line to other people that need to know about it and need to have that same mindset, he then obviously realizes and experiences firsthand just how dangerous these animals are at the hands of other people. And in doing that as well, he also grows as a person. He grows from someone who's never had any affinity towards children, who's never wanted any kids. He sacrificed his own personal life, his love life with Ellie Sattler, to focus in on his work. And he then seems to sort of, it's almost a case where he learns that that's not everything. And his relationship with Lexi and Tim at the end of that first movie just sort of shows that he's grown as someone who can actually have a nurturing and caring side towards kids and other people. And all of that is just undone in this film. You have him interacting slightly with the kid, with Eddie's kid, but it isn't really much of an interaction. He's just talking about dinosaurs again, and he's known as the dinosaur man. And again, it's just a case of dinosaurs are just constantly part of his life. His relationship with Eddie is gone, so he hasn't grown in that sense. In actual fact, he's gone backwards. The movie it's just so inconsistent with just him in the same movie, and that for me is something that's unforgivable. You can't have a character who goes against his formed character arc in the same movie as it's established. It doesn't make any sense. The fact you can sit there and claim him to be someone who hates dinosaurs or doesn't like dinosaurs anymore, at the same time as having someone whose life still only revolves around dinosaurs and trying to prove certain theories that he's created about the most dangerous dinosaur he encountered on the island, just doesn't make any sense. And while we're on that subject, actually, throughout the movie, or during the movie, he gets given a sculpture of a velociraptor skull, which has the ability to mimic the sound of a velociraptor. And Dr. Grant does this when they're confronted by the group of velociraptors who want their eggs back. And he uses it to call to them. And I thought, oh, as stupid as it sounds, he's going to communicate with them to warn them off, or to add with the fact he's giving them the eggs back, just something, or to, establish himself as a threat to them, anything. Instead, all that happens is he shouts out through a few velociraptor calls, and then it doesn't add anything. He gets saved anyway by someone else. What is the point in it? It doesn't make any sense. Why have you inserted that part? As ridiculous as that is, why have you inserted that one thing into the film for it to not have any payoff at all? In the end, this film is, it is saved slightly by the fact that those two really cool scenes, but the rest of it is just absolutely terrible. I remember watching this when I was a kid and I didn't enjoy it then. And if I don't enjoy something as a kid, then that involves dinosaurs being on screen, then what hope has this film got? And I enjoyed it perhaps even less as an adult, and that's saying something. From the messy plot, or from the nonsensical plot that's created by a stupid decision in the first place, to then moving on to, just like the little things, like it's been 8 weeks since these people went missing, but the guy is already decomposed into a skeleton. That's just... Anyway, you've got that part in there. You've got the CGI isn't great, albeit it is better than The Lost World, as you would expect, with a few years, about 4 years difference. But it's a heavy reliance on it as well. There's no animatronics in this. It just the idea of the Spinosaurus sort of being alerted or being able to alert others to its presence because of the satellite phone that's in its belly. All of those just stupid things in there just bring it back down again. And for that reason, I'm giving it 2 stars. And that's me being generous. So, anyway, what did you guys think of Jurassic Park 3? As always, just pop what you thought in the comment section below. I'd love to have a read through them. Did you agree with me, or did you actually enjoy this film? Either way, I'd love to know. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll come back again talking about Jurassic World. Until then, I'll see you again soon.